guys to be streaming this late, but had a little extra oomph. And I got a cold beverage. Cold carbonated, 0-calorie seltzer water beverage. Hello, Love Blue Sky. And hello again to everyone on the 4th of July. Everyone should love their country. Everyone should love their neighborhood, of course, their family, and this whole nonsense of, first of all, I'm not one of those patriots. I'm not one of those Americans who's like, this is the greatest country that's ever existed. It's a very weird thing to say. Sort of like saying, I don't know. I mean, it's just a weird thing to say. Like, really? I mean, you take care of your home, and hopefully other people feel that way too. And I got a nice message from a friend about what a sunshine patriot is, and I don't know if I can turn this ship around. It'd be ludicrous to say yes. What matters is we can live and be what we should be. And the whole notion, I have some interesting analogies on this topic here. The whole concept of saving a country, right? Like once it's saved, well, then what? I mean, are you all done then? I think of it from the perspective of home maintenance. Really, I do. Maintaining a house, or maintaining a bridge, or what have you, or maintaining your garden. It's never done. This whole concept of it's done, it doesn't exist. You always have to maintain. You always have to invest. And even if it's in great shape, right, you're on top of things, the moment you back off, things start to, very slowly start to rot again. So you constantly have to invest. And so whether or not everything is great or not, you still got to do the work one way or the other. You have to. Regardless of whatever country you're in, you have to just live the way you need to constantly invest and take care and think of the future, and of course, also at the same time, juggling act of prioritizing the present and spending the most time thinking about the things that are closest to you. I mean, I can't solve the U.S. economy problem. I can barely, break even in my own household. But certainly the opportunity to, build up some reserves and so on locally and take care of, the things immediately within sight or within reach is greater than, I don't know, helping balance the budget in Louisiana or something. No offense to Louisiana, it's just the first thing that came to mind. No particular reason. Anyways, I had needed to revisit this photo again. And again, a photo is not immoral. Just because you see three people in a photo, okay, I don't want to be too hypocritical here. It's not as if Joe Biden, Bill Barr, and Patrick Leahy spent all of their time together, morning up from sunrise to sundown, because they are in one photo, right? The truth is, though, that they have this weird bond, and there have been some moments of hair pulling, if you will, within Congress, but they seem to have a little bit of a trust circle at the same time, okay? And as I've said before, as I've highlighted before in this photo, Joe Biden, whether it's because of his own desire or because of his how he was been compromised or taken advantage of, I'm not really sure. Okay, again, I'm not trying to come up with excuses or for the guy, but if there's anyone in Congress that's been subjected to personal injury, torture, family trauma, and so on, and threats, it's Joe Biden. I mean, it's what has happened to him and his related family it's pretty spectacular. It's amazing he's still alive, actually, really, when you look at some of the things, surgeries he's had to have. So I don't even know if the real Biden is alive anymore. I just don't know. And I shouldn't even think that. Hello, Joa. I mean, on that, for example, okay, how many people are actually wondering if Donald Trump is still alive? Now, I don't check out a lot of liberal media, right? But when you see Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, or you think he's, an everyday guy who accidentally became a billionaire, or if he's a scumbag or whatever, to my knowledge, when people see Donald Trump, they go, oh, that's Donald Trump. I don't know how many conspiracies are out there like, oh, is this the real Trump? Is it the fake Trump? Is this the blue-eyed Trump? Is this the black-eyed Trump? Is this the Trump with the skin suit? I don't think so. I could be missing it. I'm not looking for it, but with Biden, man, there are just all kinds of stories. And again, photos can mean a lot of things, and they can be Photoshop and so on. But at the same time, there are just times when he just seems like a very different person from one event to the next. Anyways, I'm not trying to come up I'm not trying to be apologetic, okay, for Biden, but he's a very peculiar historical character, and to simply think of him as a devil or stupid or whatever, I think is missing the point. I think there's a lot of more interesting nuance to Joe Biden. I'm not saying he's an intellectual wizard, but there's more interesting nuance to his career, to his trajectory, if you will, than to just oversimplify him as corrupt or stupid or whatever. Bill Barr has a very interesting relationship with Joe Biden. Bill Barr, of course, is junior to him by, I forget the birth dates, but at least 15, 18 years, right? Why would he almost be a handler for Joe Biden? And yet, so you have the great nephew of the guy who started the Manhattan Project, Bill Barr, the great nephew of the only guy who knew whether or not FDR wanted to use the nuke. That's Alexander Sachs. He's the great uncle of Bill Barr. Bill Barr's, the ancestry of the family is actually Jewish, which I could care less. But at some point, the family became Catholic. Okay, whatever, to each their own, right? But I just, there's something just doesn't feel natural there. Leahy, okay, and of course, Bill Barr is the of his law firm had a lot of the Patriot Act scripted out, if I understand correctly, before 9/11. There's just no way all of that would have been written in the timeline that they said it was. Now, Bill Barr was not within the U.S. government at that time. He went to Verizon. Verizon, of course, previously GTE. Got the big sign up there to let everyone know. And GTE, remember, GTE was co-founded by the Woolsteaders. Albert Woolsteader, who wrote the United States Nuclear Weapon Doctrine, was written by one of the co-founders of the company that eventually became Verizon. And that's where Bill Barr was in 2001, I believe. He also was, I think, the youngest attorney general ever in U.S. history or something like that. Leahy is the first person you can find using the word bioterrorism in any U.S. newspaper, period. I don't know if that means he created it, but that's a very curious sign. or I should say piece of information, because he was one of the two senators to receive an anthrax letter in 2001. Talk about self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. Maybe. And then Biden. And Biden, on September 10th, 2001, was talking about bioterrorism. He was thinking about bioterrorism for months or weeks, maybe even years before that. And then Biden becomes the vice president under President Obama, during which time there's multiple other pandemics. There's the Ebola and Zika, etc. And then he's effectively been the president for the entire COVID-19 era, aside from the kickoff, which was Trump. Now, I've talked before, as of a few weeks ago, that, and I'm not, I as you know from my program, I don't really I don't do deep dives on different religions. All right. I focus on my own faith, which I'm happy to say what it is. I don't push my faith on other people, and I don't believe that people, if they choose this faith or that faith, are necessarily, good or bad or saved or whatever. And again, I'm just not really looking. I don't think that is the best use of my program, given my own style of research and everything else. A lot of other people seem to have that covered, and I could just never even hope to catch up to the level of expertise and knowledge that other people have in that area. So I don't mean this in a Catholic conspiracy kind of way, all right? But the Vatican, as an institution, has had a very curious role with respect to some of the some of the sciences related to molecular biology, genetics, immunology, and so on over the last several decades. The Vatican has set up this organization called the Pontifical Scientific Academy. So, of course, it's very much aligned with the Catholic Church. And they gather frequently, a few times a year, in the, what's it called, the Holy See in the Vatican. The Vatican is perhaps the largest organization in the world in providing care for people in Africa which have been clinically or somehow or another diagnosed with having AIDS. Okay, and again, by that statement, I'm not stating any particular opinion about HIV isolation or whatever, all right? They say these people have AIDS and they're providing treatment, and it's generally understood that that's a true statement. The Vatican had a role, almost by their own admission now, in helping multiple people who were involved in medical research during World War II in Germany escape. In particular, the one that comes to mind is Joseph Mengele. Mengele has been called the Angel of Death, and of course he is generally understood to have been responsible for leading a wide range of horrific medical experiments during World War II in the camps that were managed by Germany. Now, whether or not Joseph Mengele actually was the person in charge, or if he was simply someone that was picked because he could be the fall guy, I don't know, okay? But again, the official narrative is that Joseph Mengele had a high level of oversight, and many people reported to him. And due to the nature of what he did, or at least believed to have done in World War II, there's no reason why he should not have stood trial. No reason. He should not have stood trial. Been arrested, stood trial, and during the Nuremberg trials, but somehow he escaped, and actually he escaped with the help of the Vatican. Now, why would the Vatican help him escape? also, what reason would anyone have of ensuring that Mengele was never found alive? Why? Did he have blackmail material on somebody? Did he have money? What was it? Was he politically connected? I think the answer is no to all of those things. Yet somebody made sure he was never found until he died of he drowned or something like that. And even that's a questionable story in South America. And the Vatican helped him get there, and it's possible the Vatican's related to Mengele never having been found alive. That doesn't sound very like anything that Christ would have been too down with. But again, I don't know all the details, but it's a pretty bizarre thing for the Vatican to have been involved in that. But also, the Vatican never found, matter of fact, nobody ever found the vast majority of the research notes that Mengele collected during World War II. Some are available. They thought they found them, and then they disappeared from lockers before people actually went to go get them. A lot of the research is just gone. Some legacy remains. So there is a lot of accusations about what had happened, but the official narrative is a lot of the documentation is just gone, which is odd because Germany was known to keep meticulous records of these prisoners, which in of itself is also a very strange thing to do. If you have these prisoners that you're going to kill, why did they go through such efforts to organize and sort and track and everything else? I mean, that took manpower, and Germany was already at a deficit with respect to how much human capital it had to throw at it to support its own military. So none of these stories just don't jive. They just don't add up to make any sense. Even if the official narrative just doesn't make sense. So the curious part about the Vatican having a role in Joseph Mengele's escape and Mengele's notes being lost somewhere is that you can't overlook the fact that the Vatican has the largest library on earth. They have more papers than just about anyone else. They have a massive archive of the most well protected environmentally and the most secure vault of papers that has ever existed in known history. So if there's any place in the world at any point in history where something that is almost priceless, such as the notebook of Joseph Mengele of World War II, to go missing and possibly be stored or somewhere, it would be the Vatican. And it just so happens that the Vatican, for reasons which are beyond anyone's imagination, helped Mengele escape. So this possibility that the Vatican was involved in helping Mengele escape, and possibly in the meantime, or as part of that deal, getting his notes and keeping them somewhere deep in the vault, is not a crazy thing at all to be speculating. It is, in fact, it's almost crazy not to think that that's a possibility. Now, those notes would, of course, be of tremendous value to people who lost family members and want to see justice. Of course, they are tremendous value in understanding the real nature of what happened there, so that we don't have to go by folklore anymore. We could actually know. But the value of those notes are probably highest to people who need to understand or want to understand how the human body works, how the human immune system works. And there's perhaps been no time before where so many people have been available to be exposed to significant immune system challenges, and to have those observations recorded and, like lab animals, be disposed of afterwards. And that is possibly something that would be in those notes. And now you factor in that, decades after World War II, during which time these notes have supposedly never been found, you have the most highly recognized immunologists in history, or living at that time in history, and visionaries with respect to molecular biology and gene therapy and so on, wanting to have their meeting in the basement of the Vatican, which is exactly where those notes would be. It makes you wonder if one of the reasons why this science academy has been created at the Vatican, okay, and in the Holy See, is to offer an opportunity for people who could find value in such notes to collect, and then to see if what was being observed based upon various immune challenges in World War II aligns with what they would have expected given the current state of knowledge. Because you just can't test on people like that. Not legally, not ethically. Not supposed to anyways. So, let's take it up a couple levels. Biden, Bill Barr, Leahy. And I've already laid out what these three people have done. Oh, no, Leslie. It's much crazier than that. I hope you guys are ready for this. I can't make this stuff up. Bill Barr's brother is one of the world's leading physicists and is effectively like a director of the Catholic Scientists Guild and has worked directly with the Vatican. You can't make something like that up. Stephen Barr Faith and Physics, Stephen Barr. After he did physics and graduate teaching 40 years, he retired and he runs the Society of Catholic Scientists. After everything I just said, and again, this is I'm a Christian, and I know I can't really articulate the differences between Christians and Catholics. I know that's an awful thing to say. I went to a Catholic school for a while, but I was baptized Protestant, and I'm not even going to get into all of that stuff. Okay, it's almost none of my business in a weird way. And this is not an anti-Catholic thing or even an anti-Vatican thing. But given the nature of this photo, this is Stephen Barr. Now, some of the metadata on Stephen Barr is actually quite positive. I tend to look favorably on men who marry for life and who have good, strong families, and Stephen Barr meets that. And Stephen Barr, as someone who has been a leading physicist, has been trying to reconcile the Bible, the Bible that he reads, with the ability of the need of scientists to be inquisitive and to explore, and that the two are not in competition. So I'm not jumping to the point of suggesting that Bill Barr's brother has bad intentions. Not at all. Okay, and I apologize if it sounds like that, because I don't want to. It sounds insane. But I just laid out a very strong case that there's a possibility that the Vatican is involved. The Vatican hosted the 1988 AIDS conference. The Vatican is caring for these people in Africa that have been diagnosed with AIDS. The Vatican is I think, the loudest voice on planet Earth in encouraging people to uptake the mRNA vaccines. The Vatican is a big player here. I'm not making that up. They are a massive player here. They have incredible political clout. I think that they have a whole lot more than $30 billion in the bank. I think that's just like a joke cover story. And given the nature of everything that Joe Biden has been involved in, then senator, now president, and Mr. First person to use this word bioterrorism and print in a U.S. newspaper, Leahy, who then goes on to receive one of the letters, and of course switched parties in 2001 after the elections, just to tip the balance of power in the U.S. Senate away from a Republican majority. When you just and although Biden is not officially, I don't know what Christian denomination he is, I think it's he's currently going to a church which I believe is Jesuit in the community of Georgetown in Washington, D.C. And Bill Barr is a Catholic. I don't know what Leahy is. We know we have currently one of our pseudo-diplomats, Jeffrey Sachs, is the most frequently invited guest speaker of the last 10 years or so at the Vatican. And he's effectively saying the U.S. as an empire is done. And if Jeffrey Sachs wants to go to the Vatican, and if Jeffrey Sachs believes that the nature of how countries are interconnected and so on, or maybe the U.S. military shouldn't rule the world or something like that. Okay, I'm open to some of that, but I think Jeffrey Sachs almost gets a little happy twinkle in his eye at the thought of the United States being burned to the ground. That's what irritates me about Sachs. And he's very tight with the Vatican. Very, very tight with the Vatican. So, behind the scenes here, kind of, sort of, is Bill Barr's brother running the Society for Catholic Scientists. Now, there's a lot of videos of him speaking on YouTube. And I think my question to you guys would be to check out a couple of their videos. In fact, I don't do this very often. Hello, Joan. Hello, Denise. Yeah, I'm not. I know it sounds like I'm just going strictly negative here, and that's not the point. But it's, look, that's you can't look at something like that and just dismiss it. So going to let's see, going to YouTube. Let's see here. Just go to Stephen Barr. Cosmology and creation. Why fine-tuning. The good news about science and faith. And I ask, I'm giving you guys an exercise. Check out a few of these videos. I Again, maybe I'm missing something. I don't listen to these and go, wow, this guy is really trying to screw us over. He smiles. He seems to have good body language. I respect the fact that he's not trying to say that faith and science and physics need to be at war with each other. That needs to be one or the other. But nonetheless, we can't overlook the fact that his brother Bill, I think, appointed I think Bill Barr's own daughter was been involved with some drug trafficking or something like that, oversight within the United States, and it's absolutely horribly failed. Look at some of these comments here. The priest class doesn't mess around either. I think higher level priests. My mom didn't want me to go to the public schools in Bridgeport. I was the only child, and I probably couldn't have handled it. Or maybe it would have been a better thing for me. I don't know. But so I went to even though I wasn't Catholic, I went to a Catholic grade school, St. Andrews in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And the pastor there, is that the right word? I forget the guy's name. All I know is he was Father Dan. And he was a nice guy. I don't know. I didn't see any of that, awful Catholic stuff that people say. I don't doubt it's true. I'm just saying I didn't see anything when I was in a Catholic school that made me think that it was some bad cult. Nothing. But I wouldn't say he was tough. Now, I believe that the upper level of the Catholic Church, closer to the Vatican, the Vatican itself is somewhat militant, or at least has a history of having a military. Again, this is exactly why I don't get into this topic, because I don't have the background for it. I don't have the chops for it right now. It's just too much of a learning curve. And so I would defer to other people. All I can do, again, is just look. I just look at evidence, and I just see just a remarkable number of fingers and data pointing at the Vatican, pointing at in that general direction. It's not prejudicial. If it was pointing, I don't know, at other places, I'd be looking there. So, in a way, the fact that I'm not biased from, being more educated in some of these different faiths is what just allows me to just look at the data and go, wow. And Bill Barr's own brother has played a role with the church. Now, what else can I find there? Let's see here. Catholic scientist Stephen Barr to speak at University of Carolina March 7th. Or was that University of California, UC? This is February 28th, 2018. Stephen M. Barr, president of the Society of Catholic Scientists. That sounds like a big deal to me. Will speak on evolution and the Catholic faith on March 7th. This is 2018 at the University of Cincinnati. A professor of physics and astronomy at the University of Delaware. University of Delaware. That's where Joe Biden is a senator, everyone. Again, another layer to the photo. Joe Biden is longtime University of Delaware, or I should say from the state of Delaware. He's born in Delaware, I believe. He's been a senator forever from the state of Delaware before he became president, of course. And what? Bill Barr wasn't born in Delaware. His father wasn't born in Delaware. He's not a Delaware family. Yeah, his brother Stephen has been in Delaware and at the University of Delaware for decades. And he's the president of the Catholic Scientists Organization, whatever now. Now, he's a physicist. He's not a biologist. Where's the article here? A frequent lecturer on science and religion, Stephen Barr will present Evolution and the Catholic Faith, exploring Catholic response to the theory of evolution. Barr is the author of Modern Physics and Ancient Faith, The Believing Scientist, Essays on Science and Religion, and other books, and was awarded the 2007 Benemerenti Medal for exemplary service to the Catholic Church by Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict, was that the 16th? Gave the award directly to Stephen Barr. That is unbelievable. Not that that in and of itself is a bad thing, but we're trying to understand why the Vatican in particular has been so involved. Now, perhaps because of the nature of what information perhaps the Vatican has collected, perhaps the Vatican is in a position where they can leverage that, and they can leverage some of their wealth and political power, and they know that whoever is hands are on the wheel of this gigantic ship that is pursuing, the pursuit of knowledge of how the human genome works. Whoever is commanding that ship is going to have a lot of power and a lot of clout. Perhaps the Catholic Church, through this Pontifical Science Academy, and they said they don't even care if the people who are in the academy are Catholic, combined with information that they've collected, combined with providing assistance to people who have AIDS, during which time they're probably collecting data as well, is making a play for global power here by leveraging the pursuit of knowledge relating to the human genome. And Stephen Barr, maybe he's not part of that at all, but maybe he's simply a happy-go-lucky physicist who, just wants to, get the stigma out of Catholics wanting to do their physics stuff. And the Pope was like, hey, man, I found you. I have no idea how I found you. You're in Delaware, and I'm over in the Vatican here. But, hey, let's give you an award, and let's make you the president of this society. The Catholic Church hears all their confessions. They definitely have leverage. I think I don't know what this means, Leslie. I know you didn't ask that question, but I'm just saying I'm talking to you right now. I don't know what this means. It's very clear, given the visibility that Jeffrey Sachs has had, okay, that he's become almost a definitive voice on whether or not we had a lab leak or not, and the shows that he's been invited on, and the horrible things he said about my country. It should be it's actually our country because he's an American citizen. It's sad that I actually have to share this country with him, given how much disgust he has for it. And me. I'm sure if someone told Jeffrey Sachs that Mark Kulak could be wiped off the earth for $10,000, that Jeffrey Sachs would whip out the credit card in 3 seconds flat. It's quite sad, but I totally believe that. And this Pontifical Science Academy, which one of the largest voices, one of the people that was so deeply embedded in this academy that he could basically just call up any pope at any time. Was Hillary Kaprowski. Hillary Kaprowski, the guy who liked to play the piano, who somehow accidentally stumbled into being one of the most influential virologists in all of history. He has a relative who was in the Vatican. Or a cardinal at the very least in Poland. The advisor on his very first paper before moving to Brazil is this Dr. Conway, who was also appointed like the ambassador to the Vatican, like in the 1960s or something like that. Kaprowski was deeply embedded with the Vatican up to his death, and even got Mr. Prion, Stanley Prusner, onto the Catholic, whatever you want to call it, the Pontifical Sciences Academy. There's something going on here. My friends, there's something going on here. I can't quite characterize it properly. The Vatican doesn't make impulsive moves. Any move is calculated. It's how they do everything, methodically. I could believe that. I could believe that. And the Vatican has every right to want to pursue being a venue that perhaps gathers power or finance. I would say financial power by spearheading or helping to organize a lot of these efforts. They have every right to, but I think we have the right to know about it also. And anyways, I guess my exercise to you is, and if you want to, if you don't want to, that's fine. That's not the ones I wanted to show here. Where are they? But there's a lot of videos with Stephen. And again, just because he's a Catholic and just because he's presenting and so on, just because his brother's Bill Barr, so what? There's a lot of people who do bad things that have good family members that can't believe what the bad person is up to. But this is just one. If you don't mind my just saying it quite frankly, this is one hell of a coincidence. I really didn't need 46 minutes to say that, but let me know what you think. Maybe it really is just nothing more coincidence, or maybe he really is. Maybe he really does believe, and perhaps this is coming from a good place, that we can pursue science and our faith. But at the same time, he's aware that there's value, political value, and so on, and helping facilitate the Catholic Church in this pursuit. Perhaps the Catholic Church has signed on for it. It might not be as much of an uphill battle as you think. Stephen Barr, of all the people. I think that's it, everyone. Again, I hope I didn't say or word anything in a way that came off as me being too judgmental or whatever. I have my faith. I'm proud of what it is. I should say I'm pleased with what it is. Please, I don't know. I don't hide it, but I'm not pushing it. I'm not an expert on different religions, and this is not a direction my show is going to go in. I'm simply trying to understand if this one political, pseudo-political / religious organization does have a role in, I'll just say, does have a horse in the race with respect to genetic research, going all the way back to World War II. And I think it's possible. And I think that's why there's so many key virologists and perhaps even political officials, both elected and not directly elected, like Stephen Barr, or excuse me, Bill Barr, who seem to just keep popping up in the picture. That's it, everyone. Thank you. Take care. God bless. Where is... There we go. Thanks for joining.